Hi everybody, it's Erin, and today we are doing a envelope with a matched pattern decoration on the front and a secret journaling spot. For today's project, you'll need an envelope with a larger flap, not a skinny flap, some paper to decorate the front with that has a pattern or a picture, some coffee dyed or plain paper or lined paper for your journaling spot, and then your miscellaneous supplies to do the project. Here we go. All right, so I am working with an envelope, and I've chosen a piece from my Garden Collage digital kit that has this beautiful bird on it that I want to use for the decoration on the envelope. So I'm taking a look at, where I need to cut it off, and I'm going to just trim just a little bit off the top of this because I want to try and fit more of that bird decoration on the front of the envelope, and it's just a little bit too tall. That's a little better. We're still not going to fit everything, but it still gives us a really great bird picture on the front of that envelope, so that's going to be really nice. I'm going to take my pencil and mark now where I need to cut it off to match the height of the envelope. I always cut it just like a skosh smaller, just to make sure that I fit it on. I don't mind if there's just that tiny little border around it, but if you would rather, cut it a little bit bigger and trim it off, you can do that too. So there, now I have a piece that matches the size of the envelope. And so what I'm gonna do is kind of fold that flap back and forth so I can get it nice and straight. And I'm going to place the crease at the top of my piece of paper and the flap over the top. And we're going to use this as a pattern to cut our flap piece out of the paper. So I'm just being very careful to make sure that's all aligned. And now I'm carefully tracing that shape onto my paper. And now just take my scissors and very carefully cut this out. Thankfully, it's mostly straight lines, so if you have like a decorative edge envelope or something, I might not recommend this technique because it might just be a little bit too much to try and match up, but this one has nice straight lines. So you can see I'm just really taking my time here. There we go. Okay, now I've got my two pieces. And first I'm going to adhere the piece to the flap. And we're going to adhere it to the outside of the flap. And I use glue stick in this case instead of our glitter glue because I want to be able to reposition it if I get it on crooked. So my tip from me to you, don't go in with the fast sucker this time. Use a glue stick or something that you can reposition because this is probably like one of the trickier parts, is getting these things to just line up. So I just start with that bottom point and kind of make sure everything's angled correctly before I stick everything down. Grab my bone folder, give it a good burnish. And now I'm grabbing my art glitter glue and I'm going to re-glue the spots around the edges that are coming up a little too easily, just to make sure everything's nice and secure. Fold the flap over, just kind of make sure, yep, I'm looking for a little spot that might be peeling up or curling up a little bit. Kind of surgically insert some glue. Had to bring it closer in so I could see. There we go. Now we're all good. Okay, now we have our flap secured. Just gonna get the point here. And now it's time to put the bottom on. We're gonna use pretty much the same method here. I'm going to use the glue stick to get it down into place and make sure that it's lined up. And then I'm going to come back in with the art glitter glue to secure any loose spots. Now, instead of starting at the bottom, what I want to do is make sure I'm going to put that flap down as though the envelope were closed. And then I'm going to match the paper up so that the picture matches. And then I can lift the flap up and tap the paper down into place. You may find that it's misaligned around the edges of the envelope, but that's okay because you can always trim those pieces off. These things never really work out exactly, but the most important part of this particular project is to get the picture or the pattern to match up. That's what makes it look like wow. So there I'm taking my scissors and there are just a couple of little spots that kind of snuck over the edge of that envelope. Just gonna trim those down. Not too bad at all. All things considered, that one was pretty smooth. But see, now we've got a picture that matches across the flap and the body of the envelope. I think I have some crafting debris on my on my table and it's getting in the way. That's what I get for not cleaning up after myself. There is the music paper I'm going to use to line the envelope. There's a couple reasons we do this. One is to make the inside of the envelope pretty, but the other reason is to actually create the flap that we're going to adhere our special journaling paper to. So I'm going to lay the envelope down, carefully trace out the flap shape, and I'm going to come down the sides enough so that it makes sure to cover anything that would be exposed when the flap is open. So using those guidelines, I'm going to just chop the bottom portion of that off to size, and then I'll actually cut the shape out with my scissors. And again, just take your time on this, do it carefully. The next thing I need to do is figure out where that piece of paper is going to score along the flap, the crease of the envelope. So I'm going to just kind of lightly score this with my fingernails. I got caught a little bit on the last envelope that I made with this music paper because it is vintage music paper. It is brittle, and it did kind of fall apart. So what I'm going to do this time is actually reinforce that crease with just some good old masking tape. It's going to be hidden and glued down, so no need to use any fancy washi tape or anything. So just some masking tape. If your paper will hold up to creasing, you do not need to worry about this step. Now I'm taking a piece of coffee dyed paper and I'm going to fold it in half. And now I'm just going to refold the liner along that fold that we made previously. Now that it's reinforced, we can really burnish that down and get it nice and creased. So with the fold at the top, you're going to place the crease of the liner, the music paper, onto the crease of the coffee dyed paper. This is very important. And you're going to trace, once again, this envelope flap shape. Very carefully, because what we want to do is be able to cut this out and have it, open up into a double-sided one. So make sure that your crease is in the right spot. Just like that, see? All right, we've got all of our pieces now. It's time to assemble. So this is how it's gonna work. First thing we need to do is get that liner into the envelope. And I thought I would be really smart, put the liner in and then figure out how to glue it from behind. But it didn't work out so well. But what I did that was really smart was trim off little pieces at a slight angle to taper that bottom so that this liner slides really easily into the envelope. It's still a little tight here up at the top, you notice? So I'm gonna trim it again in just a second. There we go. Because I want that to slip in really easily. So I'm just trimming just the tiniest bit more off right around that folded area. So just that tiny little bit. Okay. Because I want that to slide in just nice and easy. So yeah, here's where I'm trying to think, can I get my glue stick in there? No. Not without tearing up this envelope that I've worked so hard on. And I think my art glitter glue is going to get messy. So what I decide ultimately to do is just put my art glitter glue on the flap, since I did make it slide in, cut it to size so that it slides in so nice. I'm just going to be very careful with it, get it slid in before I actually let it touch the paper on the back and get it into place. So, but by all means, if you have a better way to do that, please feel free. I'm gonna rub that down. I'm gonna take a toothbrush. It's got like a nice soft handle on it, so I can kind of just go in, make sure everything's tamped down, and I'm also making sure that there's no glue schmutzing out to glue the envelope shut. Very important. So now you see we have an extra flap here, and this is where we're gonna glue our piece of coffee dyed paper to make our secret journaling spot. So get everything lined up. And we'll glue the back of the music paper liner to the back side of the bottom half of the coffee dyed paper. Perfect. Make sure that's nice and secure. And now just fold that over. Now we're going to glue the top half to the original envelope flap. And now I'm just going to trim off anything that doesn't quite match up, just so everything is nice and clean around the edges. Checking everything here, making sure I've got everything the way I need it. Trimming up a little bit. we're playing with some different positionings of the camera to try and get us the best view for videos. So this one's better, but still not quite perfect. Friends, did you like this tutorial? If so, please give us a like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so you get notifications when we release new videos. All right, so your envelope is now done. This is what this one looks. I did this one so I could adhere it to a journal page, and you could do it as a pocket. This other one, I actually attached a pocket to the back side that I could just clip in to a journal. So that's two different ways that you could do it. So there you go. I hope you enjoy making this project, and I'll see you next time. Bye.